Board of Education to order at 5:32 this evening. This special meeting is conducted under the guidelines of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act, which is available here. And a copy of this evening's materials are available on the table over by the door. This evening we have a few things to consider. We'll start off with our option enrollment applications for the 22-23 school year. Dr. Huck, could you give us some background, please?
Yes, go back to February 14th when the board approved the capacity in all 6/8 buildings. And that was to close off because of capacity concerns for all 8 buildings. Therefore, the 12 option enrollment applicants that we have to date would not be accepted. We have a motion before you for that action.
I so move to reject the option enrollment list for the 22-23 school year as presented due to grade level and/or program capacity for the 22-23 school year.
Thank you, Tim. I will second that. Any questions or discussion? Jody, please call the roll.
Kara?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes,
Allison?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
motion carries. Now we'll discuss a temporary construction easement with Douglas County related to improvements along 168th Street. Dr. Huck.
Sorry, excuse me, and thank you. This is for, as said, construction between State Street and Military. This is to start in the next few weeks. This is to basically add turning lanes and shave down the hill closest to Military, so it would be south of 168th and Military. And this is for construction easements, i.e. parking equipment, parking, unloading, loading material. And it's a temporary easement with Douglas County and the contractor more so with Douglas County. So this needs to get moved forward. I recommend that we do such. We've done such in other road improvements, and it is part of the growth and construction in and around schools. So you have a motion before you. Excuse me. By the way, the actual temporary construction easement, the 8 pages, is attached for your review as well, and the resolution is attached as well.
I move that the Board of Education of the school district should and does hereby authorize, approve, and ratify the temporary construction easement by and between Douglas County, Nebraska, and the school district relating to certain roadway improvements along 168th Street, and that the board hereby approves and adopts the attached resolution.
Second.
A motion by Kara and second by Allison. Any questions or discussion on this topic?
Is this costing us anything? Or we're just approving to let them do the work?
This allows them to park their equipment on our land.
Okay.
And unload and load store supplies on our land while under construction.
Okay.
I think there's actually $1 that they give us or something.
Okay. Cool.
Any other questions? Jody, please call the roll.
Mark?
Yes,
Allison?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Kara?
Yes.
that motion carries. Now we'll discuss a series of items related to our construction management at risk proposals and discussions, starting with selection of the method of construction management at risk for the high school. Dr. Hawk, background information, please.
Right. As you recall, we've done some work related to this in terms of policy, in terms of committee work, and are starting to work with the architectural firm related to design of a second high school. Construction management at risk has been presented to the board on multiple occasions. This is something that building and finance and has been presented to the board as well, moving before approval. This does not finalize a construction manager. It does not finalize that construction management at risk will be used for second high school. This is a process whereby we're starting to put out information and gathering information and RFPs for that said process. So this is the first of 3 motions. As you said, Mr. Byers, to adopt a resolution selecting construction management as a process the board can use.
Thank you. I move that the Board of Education for this school district should and does hereby select the construction management at risk construction delivery method pursuant to the Nebraska Political Subdivisions Construction Alternatives Act and board policy for a proposed new high school facility project, and hereby delegates to and directs the superintendent of schools or designee along with the selected legal counsel to initiate and carry out all actions necessary to comply with the requirements of the act, including but not limited to the development and issuance of a request for proposals for the position of construction management at risk for the project, provided that letters of interest shall not be required.
Second.
Thank you, Allison.
I might add, before the vote, there is a revised schedule that is attached for you. And I'll get that a little bit larger for view. But you are along the process of doing so. So as you can see, the publication out to community and people of interest is in the next couple of weeks. And there are some other things in terms of selection committee that you're going to be voting on in a little bit. But you can see the outline. What you'll see in the next couple of days is another email that mixes this with DLR and the outline for design. And that committee that has been working on the design. So those things will overlay. There's a lot of work to do, maybe some special board meetings as well between now and August, when if you're going to go out for vote, you have to tell the election commission and the voting language at that point in time. August 22nd, I believe, is your deadline at that point. So a lot of work between here and there.
Are there any other questions or discussion on this topic? This is a special motion in that it requires 2/3 of the Board of Education to adopt this motion and this measure. Again, my interpretation of 2/3 of the Board of Education is 4 votes. Notwithstanding, the quorum is less.
That's correct.
So with that, Jody, please call the roll.
Allison?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Kara?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes. Motion carries. Next, we will discuss and consider adoption of selection criteria for the construction manager. Dr. Hawk.
Yes. Okay, excuse me, I don't need to print. I want to bring this up because this is the point value that has been recommended by legal counsel related to the RFP. And get that a little bit bigger for everybody. There is a 100 point and it is divided out. This will be the gist and the body of the RFP and what will be outlined for those companies to bring to the committee, the selection committee, which is going to be the next motion, and then ultimately to the full board for a recommendation. I did not see any need to change the point value on the rubric that is before you.
Thank you, Dr. Hawk. I move that the Board of Education for this school district should and does hereby adopt and approve the construction manager at risk selection criteria and evaluation weights as presented.
I'll second.
Thank you, Karen. Questions or discussion?
So just to clarify, the criteria presented are defined by Nebraska statute. And so we're just
Correct.
allowing how much weight we want to give to each of these.
That
That's
is
what the
true.
recommendation is.
So
Okay.
you can adjust the weights, but yes, it is outlined.
And do we, so with this motion, we set those weights right now.
That is correct.
If there is a change, can we change those or these are
I would
set?
not, no, I would not
Okay.
recommend so because the RFP will go out with
Got it.
those weights.
Yep,
And
makes
everybody
sense.
proposing has that rubric to work with.
Thank you.
I do like that the weights are primarily geared toward prior performance on projects, experience of the construction manager, and the ability of the personnel to perform the project and to do it within the timeline specified. That's 3/4 of the weighting all in, so. Any other questions or discussion? Jody, please call the roll.
Allison,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Kara,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes, that motion carries. Our last item for consideration this evening is in regard to appointing the selection committee that will evaluate the RFPs using that criteria in the selection of the construction manager. Dr. Huff?
Yes, the selection committee will look at all of the RFPs. They'll, vary by company. What I've been told, they can be anywhere from 40 to 60 pages in weight, if you will. And the committee will do a lot of work looking through those. There are a few committee meetings whereby you start to narrow it down for the ultimate selection of one to the full board. This is going to be done in the next 30 to 60 days. So as you can see, members of the school board, member of the district administration, the architect or engineer, and then 2 people from the public. So the board must select, I would suggest 3, no more than 3 for obvious reasons of a quorum. The administration will be Dr. Mac Blumenkamp and myself. And representative of the architect will be Curtis Johnson of DLR. I am recommending to the board a person having expertise to be a former school board member, Doug Locker. And for the 5th, a resident that has no construction interest would be somebody that's been at our meetings for design, and that'd be Patrice Gardner. So 3, 5, 6, 7, 8 people on this committee.
I am inclined to open discussion on this prior to a motion so that we can determine who our school board members are. I guess my suggestion was going to be the Building and Finance Committee. I also know that there's a fair amount of work to be done in a certain time period as well. And so I wanted to respect the schedules of the committee members before writing their names down on here to see if they, in fact, had the inclination, the ability to serve in that way. So not to put you guys on the spot, but do you have any issues with that or alternate suggestions?
So the RFP will go out April 5th, so we wouldn't even start our work till 30 days after that, correct?
Pretty, yes, somewhere, there will be a timeline when they have to put it in.
Okay, so
Yes.
for your perspective,
Well,
it's not immediate at least, but I know that will
Correct.
impact you too.
I shouldn't have a problem. They will be evening meetings, I'm guessing.
Certainly can make so.
Yeah, it's been my busiest time of the year.
Yeah.
So I
No,
just
I
want to make
understand.
sure if we're in the evening, that's the best for me. So, yeah, I will make it work.
We could go at 6 in the morning if that.
I'm gone by then.
Okay.
Well gone by then.
But no, yes.
Works
So,
fine for me.
Okay,
Yep.
great, thank you. Tim and Allison, thank you very much. Kara, did you have any issues or questions?
No, I think that sounds
Some
great.
burning desire to read RFPs? Okay.
No, I think that's a good choice.
Very good, okay. Then I would I'd move that the Board of Education for this school district should and does hereby appoint the following persons to the Construction Manager at Risk Selection Committee to evaluate the proposal received from firms in response to the request for proposals. Members of the Board of Education would be Tim Dreesen, Allison Slavotsky, and Mark Byers. Members of the school district administration would be Terry Hawk and Dr. Matt Blowenkamp. Dr. Terry Hawk and Dr. Matt Blowenkamp. School district's architect would be represented by Curtis Johnson. A person having special expertise in construction would be Doug Locker, and a resident of the school district would be Patrice Gardner. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion or questions?
By all means, not saying Doug shouldn't be on there. I don't know what he does for construction. I guess I'm just asking.
He is.
Other than the schools, from the
Maintenance.
school board.
No.
Okay.
His primary line of work for many years was working with the construction or corrections
Yep.
facilities in maintenance.
Okay.
So he's had work on RFPs.
Okay.
He's had work with
Good.
remodeling, repair, certainly the HVAC system, and knows some of the contractors as we go through.
Okay.
But does not have a conflict of interest to work with them.
Okay. Perfect.
So, but very good question.
I did want to take the opportunity to thank Mr. Locker and Mrs. Gardner for their agreeing to serve in this capacity. Both have been very engaged in processes related to the school district, and I appreciate their continued service. So, any more discussion? Jody, please call the roll.
Allison,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Kara,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes. Motion carries.
Yeah, and I said 30 to 60 days, it's more like 30 to 90 days. So the way I look at this, we're looking at Monday, June 13th as the contract for the CMR. All right, so, you
Now
know,
and then.
the next 30 days, not much. So, okay, yes. Sorry.
There is no more business before the board this afternoon. The next regular meeting of the Bennington Board of Education will be Monday, April 11th. And with no further business before the board, I call for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Kara,
Second.
second by Allison. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? This meeting is adjourned.
So there's no quorum.